The organisers of the Great British Beer Festival at the Queen's Hall in Leeds are hoping thousands of people will be thinking over the next 5 days. It's the first time the beer festival has ever been held in the north of England, and by Sunday afternoon around 25,000 people will have sampled a wide range of real ale. John Thirlwell went down for a sip or two of beer himself.
There are 150,000 pints of beer to be drunk at the beer festival. All are brewed the traditional way and pulled by the old-fashioned hand pump, though the technique of drinking is just about the same as with any old beer. 110 different brewers have gathered at the Queen's Hall to present their wares to a thirsty public. The exhibition's been organised by CAMRA, the Campaign for Real Ale. And among the beers waiting to be sampled is this one, selling at 90p a pint.
I'm not sure if I can say it is the strongest beer, but it's in the top 3 or 4 strongest beers in the place here.
It tastes very strong. It's very expensive as well.
It's a barley wine. I mean, it's not really a beer. Most of the beers we've got here, of course, are down in the 50p bracket. You know, there's a few of these. Well, I would call them oddball. That's not derogatory, of course, but I mean unusual beers at this price.
Now, what about the price of beer? Because real ale is rather expensive. It's more expensive than, say, a spirit in a pub.
Of course, well, that's the Chancellor has done that. I mean, real ale is cheaper to make than the keg process beers because there are less processes involved in producing it. And over the last few years, you've noticed that the beer prices have shot up over spirit prices because the tax harmonisation that's been going on, and spirit taxes are now nothing like as proportionately stringent as they were 20 years ago.
What do you think's happening to the image of the pint?
I think the image is still good. Well, real ale is certainly obviously a growing thing at the moment. There's a danger of it becoming a trendy thing, which I don't want to see. I think that would be a really bad move because it is the ordinary man's drink in this country, and I think it ever should be.
Well, from the priciest to the cheapest pint. Trough is a Bradford brewer that's been in existence just 8 months. Not even the recession stopped them joining the real ale brewers.
We've thought long and deep and hard about it, and yes, we are in a big recession. We think it's going to last a long time. By virtue of that, we've brought out a beer that will sell in working men's clubs for 36p a pint. We get told a lot by club stewards and everything, it's not so much quality, if you like, it's how much is it.
And with the real ale, there's also real pub games. Bat and trap is centuries old and traditionally played outside the pub. The makers say it's a more soothing accompaniment to beer than those invaders from space.
Well, we've started this business about 3 years ago, and certainly we've noted more and more interest in traditional games in pubs. And the comment that we often get is that these games are far more skillful and much more enjoyable than the more modern games like Space Invaders.
Which are soul-destroying, I'd have thought.
Exactly. Well, we like to think so.
So you could well bring back some meaning to the phrase beer and skittles.
Correct.
If anyone can aid me, it's me brother in the army. If I could learn a station in Cork or Killarney, and if he'd go out with me, we could roam in Kilkenny. I'll engage to treat me fair than me darling sporting Jenny, with sharing a Madurum Dan. Whack bog daddy-o, whack bog daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar, I'm a sharing a Madurum Dan. Whack bog daddy-o, whack bog daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. Hey! Thank you.
Only we could do a report on a beer festival and have some music about whiskey. Terrific. Anyway, if you ever fancied trying your hand at treasure hunting, you could do worse than start digging in a few fields.
Another hot, sticky sort of day. Why not relax like me with a long, cool pint? Because here in Leeds, there's a positive orgy of pint drinking going on. It's the Real Ale Brigade holding their annual conference. Not really a place for Miss Lemon drinkers, I suppose, however fizzy the bubbles. And John Charles of ex-Leeds United, now a pub opener himself, was the opener of the festival today, the first to be held outside London. Well, here with me is the chairman of CAMRA, which is, of course, the Real Ale organisation, Tim Amsden. Helping us from Leeds is Barry Pepper, who knows one or two things about Leeds. It is the first outside London, this festival, is it not?
It is.
And just tell us how many pints are there and how many people are going to go. Is it just a sort of organised booze-up?
It's an organised booze-up, yes. It's thousands, basically, isn't it, Barry, that we're hoping to attract to
about
it?
150,000 pints, I think, in 4 days, 4.5 days.
And all beautifully laid down, presumably, in barrels.
Yes, indeed. They're all laid out. In fact, there are 1,180 barrels of beer, or kilderkins of beer. They hold 18 gallons each.
And how many different kinds of beers are there?
There are 200 beers from 114 breweries.
And is that 114 breweries?
That's right,
So that really is a lot of breweries, isn't it?
It is, yes.
I mean, but there's some breweries, presumably, which are sort of garages, really, small, very small breweries, as well as the big breweries.
Yes, there are some one-man, two-men breweries, and up to the largest in the country.
And they've had a few problems today, haven't you, because of the hot weather?
Just a few.
Well, just tell us about 2 of them.
Well, basically the problem when the temperature starts to rise, not only do people want to drink more, but the quality of the beer can be impaired if you're not careful. We've had to rush around rather frantically obtaining quantities of sacking and ice to make sure we can keep the beer in good quality.
OK, we'll tell you what we'll do. Would you just describe some of the beers? And on behalf of all the 3 million viewers, I will actually sample it for them, because we can't actually offer all the viewers some beer. Come on, Barry, pour some out, lads.
Well, this one that you've got there,
Yes.
Richard, is in fact West Riding Tyke. It comes from Huddersfield. It's only been brewed for about a month or so. The brewery's only been in existence for just over a year. And it's one of these 3-men breweries, 3 young lads who got together, decided to do their own thing, and set up a brewery. And I think it's an excellent beer. What do you think of it?
Yes, Barry, it's very nice. It seems, yes.
Well, would you like to try another one? Now, this one's got an interesting title. It's called Dog Bolter. And it comes from a London brewery. Again, Tim, I think a one-man brewery, isn't it?
Yes, yes, this is a chap called David Bruce, who used to work for one of the big brewing firms.
Oh, I know him, David Bruce.
You do, yeah.
I know him.
And his message is to put the fun back into brewing, and he has pubs on which beer is brewed on the premises. Some of them you can see the brewing going on through a window in the whole.
I know David Bruce, but I don't like this David. He used to work for a North Yorkshire brewery, isn't he?
I believe so. Yes.
Actually, I don't. It's too bitter for me. I don't like this.
It's pretty strong too. It's got a very high original gravity.
It's pretty strong. Right, go on.
Well, we've got others, of course. We've got Thwaites here from Blackburn.
Yeah.
That's a mild, if you'd like to try that. It's very dark.
From Lancashire.
You know that one. And then we've got these bottle beers here, Richard, as well, which are all conditioned in the bottle. And in fact, we won't bother opening them, but they've all got sediment in, and they've probably got a bit of a shaking up coming all the way down.
That's very dark, that, isn't it? Look at that.
It is indeed, yes. A very flavoursome beer, is that.
That won the prize for the best mild at last year's festival, Alexandra Palace in London. The Thwaites.
Now look, you've brought, of course, these would normally be off in draft, wouldn't they, what you've just given me now?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
What about the bottled beer? Is the bottled beer as good? There's some lovely bottles. Just show us some of the bottles.
Well, let's start with this one. This is a very interesting one, Gale's Prize Old Ale. It's probably the only bottled beer in the country which has a cork in it. That's right. The rest of them have the crown top, but this one's got a cork in, and they're very, very expensive, aren't they, Tim?
Yes, the maker's name embossed in the back. It's beautiful. It tastes like an old port or something. It's a delicious beer.
This is one that was specially brewed for the royal wedding, of course. It's called Charles and Diana. It's by the Penrose Brewery, which is mainly the Monty Python team, Terry Jones and people like that.
Hey, well, look, we hope you have a really good time at your festival, and open all hours, presumably.
More or less.
Yes, and mind how you drive home. Thanks very much indeed, and I'm glad you brought the festival to Leeds.
Right.
Congratulations.
I think Richard enjoyed that item. Brief look at the main news headlines.